I think that I've finally achieved what I would call my dream desk setup. I've been upgrading it for the past 2 years and think that this iteration is the best use of the small space that I have in my current room. It's worked really well for my needs as a content creator and student, as well as making for a great spot to relax and play some games. I really just wanted a place that allowed me to stay focused during long study sessions, but also keep me creative when producing the content on this channel. I hope that with this video I can provide some inspiration to those of you who want to upgrade your current workspace or are looking to build their very first setup. Links to everything I mentioned will be down in the description. The star of the show here is the Flexispot E7 Pro Plus standing desk. Huge thanks to Flexispot for sponsoring this video and sending out the desk. The white frame looks super sleek and is strong enough to hold up to 355 pounds. Its one-piece design feels super high quality and like it's built to last. I have no doubts that I'll be using this frame for years to come and through plenty more setup iterations. The dual motors are pretty quiet when adjusting the height, and using the keypad at the side makes it super easy to switch from sitting down or standing up. This all happens in a very smooth movement, so I'm not worried about any of the tech on the desk getting damaged. You can use the up and down arrows, but also set preset levels on any of the 4 buttons. It ranges from 23.8 inches all the way up to 49.4 inches, which makes it super flexible no matter your height. I'm pretty tall at 6'1", and using the desk seated and standing is very comfortable. Once you have the desk at your desired height, all you need to do to configure the presets is press on this M button, and then whichever one you want to map it to. Setting it up with this white wood grain tabletop was super straightforward, and measuring in at 55 by 28 inches, it fits perfectly on my wall. The frame of the desk can extend from 43.4 inches wide all the way up to 74.8 inches, allowing the use of a wide range of tabletops up to 80 inches in length. This is perfect for me as my current space is relatively small, but I'm hoping that in the next year move out and have a little extra room for my setup. That way, once I do have the space, it's as easy as just picking up a new top and throwing it on here. The top isn't solid wood, but instead just a chipboard / particle board material. Before setting it up, I was a little worried about the monitors mounted on it, but so far it feels completely stable even when adjusting the height. I love the way it looks, and all the white peripherals that I have on the desk complement it very well. At the back side of the tabletop, I'm using a Meros light strip for some added lighting. You can configure the effects using their mobile app, but also add it to Apple HomeKit or Alexa. I'm using a solid blue color matching my PC and monitor lighting, and it makes the desk look amazing. For long work sessions, I like to stand as my chair can get quite uncomfortable, but when gaming or later at night, I love the versatility of being able to sit down again. An added plus is that having the option to stand instead of sitting all day is great for your health and can reduce back pain. Cable management is pretty solid. All the cables from the desk, like the keypad and motors, are tucked away nicely with this aluminum cover, and then I installed an IKEA Signum tray for the rest of the cables. I didn't take the time to make it look perfect, but the amount of tightening that you can do just with this tray is super impressive. I have it attached with some heavy command strips because I didn't want to drill holes in the top, but honestly I highly recommend that you do, because while the strips can hold up to 12 pounds, the tray has started to fall off numerous times with all the power bricks sitting in it. Luckily, it's super easy to free up some space on top of the desk by using the command strips. I was able to attach both my SSD and cloud lifter to the underside so they wouldn't be in the way of anything. I also have all the power bricks and power strip attached underneath, and it keeps all the cables in place when adjusting the height of the desk. Those who've been following the channel for a little while now would know that my previous desk used 2 IKEA Alex drawers with the tabletop laying on top, but with this standing desk I just don't have the room anymore to put them underneath. Now it's just the one at the side, but this is nice because I can have quick access to the various tech devices that I might need on a daily basis, but also have room to keep the PS5 on top without taking up any space on the desk. Really, the only thing that I don't like about this new setup upgrade is that I don't have the room to put the other drawer on the side. Otherwise, it's been perfect. For monitors, I'm running 2 34-inch ultrawides from LG. The bottom one is the UltraGear 34GP83A-B, and it's a 1440p 160Hz IPS panel. The top one is the 34WK95C-W, and it also has a 1440 IPS panel, but only a max refresh rate of 75Hz. The UltraGear is my main monitor that I use for content creation and gaming. It's pretty color accurate and the picture is really clear, so whether I'm editing photos or videos, it works well. Gaming on it is amazing with the high refresh rate, and nowadays most titles do support the 21:9 aspect ratio, making for immersive gameplay. The top monitor unfortunately doesn't look as good to me in terms of color reproduction and overall picture quality. The thing I really like about it though is the USB-C port, which when I was just using that monitor allowed for a single cable to charge my Mac and use the display. It wasn't actually my intention to start running this dual ultrawide setup, but when I upgraded to my bottom monitor, I felt bad that I was just leaving the old one to collect dust. I ended up stumbling upon a stacked monitor stand for only $40 and figured that it was so cheap I might as well try it out. Turns out for my productive workflow, this setup is so nice, it allows me to take advantage of both the displays within the space constraints of my desk. Instead of choosing between dual monitors and a single ultrawide, I get the best of both worlds, though it still has its drawbacks. With the top monitor being so high up, it's hard to do any main work on there, but I really like it to take things off the screen that don't always need to be right in my view. What I like the most is when working on video edits, I can have the entirety of the bottom screen for Final Cut, and then have Notion plus Spotify, Epidemic Sound, or some other Chrome tabs up top. It actually doesn't hurt my neck, and when leaning back in the chair, it's comfortable to look at. I am now mounting both of the monitors using arms instead of the old stand that I had. Instead of just one mount to put both of them onto, I wanted to spread spread out the weight and instead bought 2 separate ones. The Ultra Gear is on a single monitor mount from Vivo clamped at the right. It can hold up to 22 pounds with a 38-inch ultrawide or 32-inch monitor using a 75mm by 75mm or 100mm by 100mm base and mount size. The top monitor is on an extra tall single monitor mount, but I actually used the pole from the old stand I bought because the one that came with this one wasn't tall enough. The only reason this was an issue for me is because with the speakers underneath my monitor, it has to be placed really high up and there just wasn't enough room for the top monitor. The 2 mounts feel pretty stable, but there is a bit of monitor wobble while typing and also adjusting the height of the desk, though it's something to be expected from all standing desks. On the back of the Ultra Gear, I'm using a Govee light strip, which lights up the wall behind the monitor as well as the very back of the desk. It's pretty cheap and works well, but I've had some issues using it with the USB hub on my monitor as it hasn't been powerful enough to run properly. The controller doesn't work at all when plugged in, so I had to buy a USB extension cable that plugs into the back of my PC instead. Weirdly enough though, the BenQ Halo light bar that I have has no problems when plugged straight into the monitor. All you need to do for the USB hub to work is get a USB-B cable that plugs into your PC and into the back of the monitor. It's not included with most displays, so you'll likely have to buy one separately. The light bar is a really nice addition as I work a lot at night and it brightens up the entire desk without producing any glare on the screen. I only just started using this one in specific, but had another from them that I've used for over a year and really liked. There's 2 lighting sections, one at the front of the bar that lights up the desk, but also another at the back side. But having the Govee light at the back already, I don't see the purpose turning it on. All the settings are changed using this wireless controller, which is a really cool idea, but unfortunately has a poor execution. It runs on 3 AAA batteries, and as long as it's within a meter of the light, it shouldn't have any problems connecting. To turn it on, you need to wave your hand over it, but this usually takes a few tries before it finally registers. You can quickly tap on the buttons to change the brightness, color temperature, auto dimming, and the lighting sections you want to enable. When turning the knob, it slides around quite a bit, so you'll have to press down on it if you want to keep it in place. It also picks up a lot of fingerprints with the glossy texture the glass has, so make sure to have a microfiber cloth on hand. I miss having the buttons on the top of the light bar like my old one, but overall it still does work really well and looks nice on top of the monitor. Underneath the monitors, I have the Amazon Echo Spot. I get questions about it all the time, but I pretty much just use it as a digital alarm clock and to check the weather forecast in the mornings. Setting alarms and reminders is super easy, and I love just being able to quickly glance down to see the time. Though it's unfortunately been discontinued for a little while now, with Amazon pushing the Show 5 as a new alternative. Hooked up to the monitors, I have my custom gaming PC rig as well as the 16-inch M1 Pro MacBook. The Mac for me has been the machine that's powered my creative workflow since October of last year, and also my laptop of choice to use for my computer science work. I'm using the base model with 16 gigs of RAM, but with the upgraded 1TB SSD. I actually find that I fill this up quite fast, so need to have an external SSD to keep all of my video files on. While I use it in clamshell mode 90% of the time, working straight off the display is a joy. I still find it fairly lappable, so at school I love having all that screen real estate for coding. The only problem I have with it is when doing any sort of color work, what I see in the Mac doesn't look quite as good when seen on other devices, so whenever I'm doing video edits, I make sure that I prove it on my ultrawide first. Apple Silicon is crazy impressive, and everything that I've thrown at this laptop has worked super well, even gaming. I use this wooden Grove May dock to free up space on the desk, and it looks super clean. I love the color and the way it contrasts with the tabletop. It's pricey, but you get what you pay for as it's built extremely well. Along with the Mac, I'm using the Mercury Razer Thunderbolt 4 dock to expand the ports, but also to make for a single cable setup to run all of my displays and peripherals. This makes it super easy to go between the desk and school, because when I leave, all I have to do is unplug that single cable, and then when I'm back, if I plug it back in, all of my peripherals are connected again. Thunderbolt 4 allows for super fast data transfer and takes advantage of my high refresh rate monitor. The dock has an SD card slot and 3.5mm audio jack at the front, which isn't necessary as the Macs now have both, but it's still convenient to have the port right there, plus I can leave the SD card plugged in at home when going to school. I also recently started connecting to my speakers via an aux cable as it's more convenient, so it is nice to have that right there as well. On the backside, there's 3 USB-A ports, 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, and an Ethernet port. I'm using a USB-C to DisplayPort cable to connect to my Ultra Gear monitor and run it at 160Hz in macOS with no problems. Scrolling around the desktop and panning my Final Cut timeline feels buttery smooth with this display. For the top monitor, I'm just using a USB-C cable, but this limits the refresh rate to 60Hz. I need to use another USB-C to DisplayPort if I wanted to take advantage of its 75Hz refresh rate. With the remaining ports, I'm connected to my SSD, keyboard, mouse, and audio interface. The dock was pretty expensive at $320, but it's worked exactly how it needed to, so personally, I think it was worth it. These days, my custom PC rig is used almost entirely for gaming. It has an Intel i7-9700K, along with the NZXT Kraken X62 cooler, a 2070 Super, and 32GB of Trident Z Royal RAM. I'm using 2 1TB M.2 SSDs, which makes for super quick boot up times into Windows and games. I built the rig in the Lean Lee 011 Dynamic Mini Snow White case, and it looks gorgeous. I love the form factor as it's not quite as big as a full-size case, but you can still fit an ATX motherboard. Worth noting though is that it can only fit an SFX power supply, so you'll need to buy one if you're swapping from a full-size case. Paired with 9 Lean Lee fans, it's slightly overkill but looks amazing on the desk. The build is able to run every game I throw at it on ultra with mostly high settings and a solid 60 FPS with no issues. Though some games you can easily surpass 100 and make for super smooth gameplay. The level of immersion you can get playing on this curved monitor is unreal, and these days nearly every game supports the aspect ratio. Even in those that don't natively, there are mods available that can get it working flawlessly. When the 4000 series GPUs launch, I'll definitely be pulling the trigger on one, but for now, this rig is fantastic. I'm constantly switching between mice for gaming as I like to review them, but when it comes to productivity, the MX Master has stayed consistent over the past few years. I used the 2S up until the 3S dropped a couple months ago, and both are a pleasure to use when working on videos or programming. The ergonomic design is comfortable in the hand, and my favorite feature is the side scroll wheel, which makes panning timelines in Final Cut super easy. The gesture button allows me to quickly change between windows, and I've binded the side buttons to speed up my editing process by quickly adding a marker and deleting a clip. Along with the MX Master, I use the Apple Magic Trackpad, and this is actually a peripheral that's made a significant improvement to the workflow. Gesture controls with it are a breeze, but what I use it most for is zooming in on the timeline. Under the mouse is the Delta Hub Carpio 2.0, which is designed to elevate your wrist and help prevent any strain. It glides nicely on my mousepad and is a must for long work sessions, though doesn't work well when gaming. I'm currently playing with the Razer DeathAdder V3 Pro, and it's quickly become my new main. I'm in love with the ergonomic design, and the lightweight build makes it great for competitive games. The switches are super tactile, and with its 30K DPI sensor, all my movements feel smooth on this high star desk mat I'm using. I just recently started testing out the Newfie Halo 65, but was using the Keychron Q1 for quite some time. I've wanted a 65% board for ages now to use for gaming, but I found that I really enjoy typing on these Gateron G Pro Red 2.0 switches. Paired with the PBT keycaps, typing feels super smooth and sounds fantastic. The stabilizers too are really impressive. I thought I missed media keys, but having a use function is a worthy trade-off for this more compact form factor. What I really care about is the arrow keys, which are a must for me when doing any sort of development. The board can connect wirelessly over Bluetooth or the included USB receiver, but I've been using it wired with my CableMod coiled cable. Newfie's wrist rest looks nice and is comfortable to use. It's only been a few days that I've used it, but for a pre-built board at $120, it's just blown me away. The G Pro X headset has been going strong in the setup for almost 2 years now, and at $130, it's in my opinion one of the best headsets you can get for PC. The sound quality is pretty good, but the microphone is its main strong point. It has Blue Voice, which allows you to configure a bunch of different settings to make the mic sound exactly how you want it to. This will be perfect for talking with friends, but if you're on a budget and want to stream, this is actually a really good option. I also just love the minimal design they have, as it goes along with the setup well without screaming gamer. Asus just recently sent out their Delta S wireless headset, and while I haven't had too much time with it, I'm loving the convenience of the wireless connection, and it's worked flawlessly with my PS5 and PC. When I'm not gaming though, I keep it stowed underneath the desk using the glorious Trident headphone stand, which is one of the best purchases I've made in a while. It's made of this rubber material that won't scratch up your headphones, and the adhesive is really strong. It's definitely not going to go anywhere. I also have the Audio Engine A2 Plus speakers, which lack in bass but still sound pretty good to me. I love using them to watch videos or listen to music when working in a setup. They have a super clean design, and with the DS1 stands, they're angled more towards me to make for a better sound. For my voiceovers, I use the Shure SM7B, along with the Cloud Lifter to add 20 decibels of clean gain, and a Scarlett 2i2 audio interface. This setup was expensive, totaling to about $800, but makes for really good sound quality in these videos. I attached the Cloud Lifter with a command strip to the underside of the desk so that it didn't have to sit on top, and then the microphone is mounted on the Rode PSA-1 boom arm. With it, I can have the mic at pretty much any angle I want. The arm is built really well, but still does produce a bit of noise when moving around. All the items here have helped to make my brand new desk setup. It's super cozy and accommodates my needs extremely well. Whether I'm relaxing, playing some games, or working, this space does it all. I hope that with this video, I provided some inspiration to those of you looking to create something similar, and I will have links down below to everything I've mentioned. Huge thanks to Flexispot, as all this wouldn't have been possible without them. With that, I've been Cole, and I appreciate you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, but until then, take care.